What is good, fam? I am super excited for tonight's discussion. What is a modern man looking for in a woman? Want to find out? I have three wonderful men who are here to discuss that with me. Stay tuned. All right, folks, let's go. I'm excited. I This is the first time I've had a guest on for 2022. Guest, I should say, and the first time I've had more than one guest. So tonight, as I indicated earlier, we are going to talk with a couple of modern men and find out what it is they like in women. Now, before we get to that, I just want to take care of a few housekeeping items. One, you can always support the channel by hitting the like button, the subscribe button. You can also find me at texasbrownsugar.com, as well as my social media handle for Instagram is Texas Brown Sugar. So, um, tonight I have a couple of guests here. Uh, and I am going to have them introduce themselves. So, tonight, starting with Iceberg Slim, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. I love the show. I'm doing good.
Wonderful. Rashad, how are you this evening?
I'm doing great. I can't complain.
Okay. And we have HT. HT, how are you this evening?
Doing well, feeling blessed. How about yourself, Lessa?
Hey, I cannot complain.
Awesome.
Everything is
HT
well.
was the guy on the thumbnail with the shirt.
Stop.
Just so
Stop.
if you ladies want to inbox him.
Coming from Iceberg, of course. But, shout out to Texas Brown Sugar.
Yeah,
shout out to you, Les. And
Thank
shout out
you.
to
I
Iceberg
am
and Rashad. Shout out to you, brothers, as well.
First of all, as men, we appreciate the conversation.
Absolutely.
this is going to be one for the books, I must say. As you all know, the topic of relationships is a really hot thing right now, and so I'm excited to hear what you all have to say, and hopefully there are some females out in the audience who can also give their comments, some feedback on what you guys what we're discussing tonight. But before we start the discussion, I always begin my show with a toast. So tonight, my toast is going to be to the kings of this show. Thank you very much for joining me. My Black Kings, thank you. Cheers to you.
Cheers. Cheers to everybody on the panel. Cheers to the audience as well.
Mm. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right. Now, before I ask my first question, there is a short TikTok that I want to show you guys. And from that, I'm going to ask my question.
I make very, very good money. And she says, the only thing I need now is a man. It's like, yo, it's like, who wants you? Who wants you? You're right. Like, once you have achieved these things, you have unfortunately disqualified yourself.
Ooh,
and
shit.
And what it is these, and this is the thing. I'm not
Ooh,
blaming
the
women.
women are gonna hate him for that shit.
No, see, the
They are
thing
gonna
is,
hate him for that.
they should
I can't
love
wait
me.
to put this shit out.
All right. So, my question to you all. So, we've got Black women are now more educated than the black man, although it's about even as far as the income. We're more educated, we're putting more into our beauty, we're becoming more self-conscious. And I'm wondering, based off of the video we just saw and some of the conversations I've had, why do you all typically feel as if this is not enough, or if this disqualifies you? Who wants to take that first?
That's Rashad.
So I don't mind speaking. Honestly, I don't think it disqualifies the black woman once she educates herself or puts herself in a position or a better position. To me, what disqualifies her is what she looks for in a partner. Just because you did those things doesn't mean you always have to go out and find somebody that does the same thing, or you can't always look for someone to make the same amount. So pretty much what I've seen is women that make that money, they'll come and say things like, well, I don't need you, I make my own money. And it's like, well, go be by yourself then. So that to me is what disqualifies them once they get to a certain status.
So because they feel as if they don't need you
Right.
is what disqualifies them. Okay.
Right.
HT?
I can definitely understand the sentiments of that individual who made that statement.
Okay.
And I'll say that because more often than not in today's era, modern women do have a tendency to prioritize money over the qualities of a nuclear family, over the qualities of making sure that they position themselves to serve as available for a man. And when let's be clear, there's nothing wrong with women making money and being successful in that
Exactly.
regard. Again, the issue is prioritizing that over the other qualities, or rather the attributes that you're seeking afterwards. And because what happens is they have a tendency to place that dollar amount, that salary that they're making over the heads of individuals that they that court them and that seek them out, and that's a problem. And what you end up doing when you do that is you put yourself in the position of an individual that is masculine, and nobody wants to be with anybody that's looking to serve as competitive. Men aren't looking for somebody that's competitive in terms of in terms of somebody that's going to hang something over our heads, whether that's directly or indirectly. So that's
But
essentially what.
nowadays, in 2022, it we almost require a two income household. So is
Fact.
that any bearing? Not necessarily saying that we're in competition, but hey, we're saying I can contribute.
Well, like I said not long ago, there's nothing wrong with financial success when it comes to women acquiring that. But when you place that as a form of worship, or a means to hang it over somebody's head, a guy's head, that's when it does become problematic. And oftentimes that does happen in modern society. Yes, it does oftentimes take two incomes in order to sustain a household. It does in a lot of cases. I will say, with that said, I mean, what are the choices that are being made whenever something like that's taking place? So before I go any further, I'll let Iceberg speak his piece, because I'm sure I've said plenty at this note.
Iceberg, what do you got for us?
Well, first of all, we love all the ladies. We're not bashing anybody. Let's be clear. This is just a discussion, first of all. So
Absolutely.
we love our women,
Agree.
especially all black women. Shout out to y'all all day long. There is nothing wrong with women taking care of themselves, prioritizing what they have going on, because a lot of times I'm 42, right? Something like that. So a lot of women that I'm around, they already have children from another relationship. They already been through a lot of things. So they're like, hey, I'm making sure I'm not making a mistake the second or third, fourth time around. I think the issue sometimes is you can't have two CEOs, you can't have two VPs, you can't have two bulls in a china shop. So a lot of times, some of the women that I've been around have had issues just with, I want to make decisions, and sometimes wanting to do that sometimes basically puts the male in a perspective where he's not really used to being in, or he can shine in. I don't think most men that are real men, and there's a difference between men and males. We're talking about men today, and most men
Okay.
have a issue sometimes about trying to drive the car from the back from the back seat, and I think that's the most vulnerable thing a woman can do nowadays is to say, hey, I'm willing to allow this man to lead my family, lead my children, discipline, and uh, invest in things that maybe I don't know about. And sometimes that's scary, and I get it.
Touche, touche. As a woman who was a leader in her own household and then got married, that was very difficult
It's scary, real talk. Like, I mean, it's
to
really scary
yeah.
to put all your trust in somebody, especially when most women anecdotally think all men are the same.
Hmm.
Because they don't really understand, like, hey, this dude was raised over here, this dude was raised this way, and they really don't really know, because most of the time, let's be clear, I came from the church, and so we went to church 4 times a week. That we had classes on women and men and your roles, and then when I went out to the world, most of the people that I met, male and female, they didn't know any roles. They just like, oh, she looks good, or hey, he's got money, let's get together. But then after the wedding's done, what do we do?
Hmm.
So
Okay.
I think something else I think about too, if I may, real quick, is oftentimes when it's said that, hey, I've made my money, oftentimes that comes off as, hey, look, I've done everything else that it is that I'm seeking to do on this side of things, even though I don't have everything in life. I have all of these things in line. Now let me take care of this last. And by the time that happens, most men can't share any experiences with you that you haven't already gone through. So that's what that also conveys in some cases as well. And it's not to say that as if, we're trying to get our ego stroked or anything like that. But if you
But
drop
don't
into
y'all want
that,
y'all ego stroked every so often?
I don't. I think Iceberg said it.
I would say it's more desire than anything. Women want to be desired. And I think it's a human thing. Men want to be desired too.
Okay. Okay. So it sounds like, the woman making a lot of money, or at least financially contributing, is not high on your list. So what exactly are your top qualities that you look for in a woman?
Go ahead, Rashad.
Yeah, go ahead, Rashad. We've been talking
I think you're
like too
next
much.
up
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, you up.
All right, so I mean, most definitely top quality. Number one quality is loyalty. I always prefer
Wow.
someone that's loyal, and loyalty doesn't mean you have to follow me like a puppy, but loyalty does mean that sometimes you have to let me lead, and you be there to pick me up when I fall. Second quality, a lot of times I see with some of the people that I've dated, is just be who you are no matter what. So like, I would open the car door for somebody, and then once she gets mad, she don't touch the door. It's for me. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Just remain the same. Even if we're having a discussion or a disagreement, just remain the same. And then truly understanding the word compromise. Compromise is one of the biggest things that a lot of people don't understand in relationships. There's a push and a pull, a give and a take. You can't always have it your way.
The show's over with. We can just shut it down. We just shut it down. He shut it down.
Okay, Iceberg.
No, seriously, like Rashad pretty much just said it. The biggest thing for most men, not males, is cooperation. Because at the end of the day, you know, if you want to go biblical,
Hmm.
a woman's supposed to be a helpmate. So technically, she's supposed to be focused on what the man is doing and helping him, and he's supposed to be focused on God. But a lot of times, femininity or the new femininity has entered the church, which they'll look at a verse, Bible verse, and perceive it a different way. Because, like I said, it goes from a fear base of I want to make sure I have a say in something. And don't get me wrong, like Pilate had his wife, and his wife was like, "Hey, don't touch that man." You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be cursing this next day. You know he blind, so he gone. But you do listen to your woman 100% because women have a perspective that's so different and so unique. It's crazy. But a lot of times they don't use it to help you. They use it to spy on you, to spy on you and say, "Hey, I caught you." Um, but to me, nobody's really teaching males or females, but definitely the females, because we live in a matriarchal society, especially black people. Let's be 100. Normally, it was big grandma. Grandma is the one who led the family, not grandpa. You know, he made the money, but she's the one like telling everybody what to do and how they're supposed to do it, which normally doesn't really turn into alpha males. And when I say alpha, I'm saying that can lead a household, understand a woman, take care of the kids, X, Y, and Z. So the biggest thing, and honestly, it's not sex. Most women like, oh yeah, I just want sex. Man, we want cooperation. And because at the end of the day, we're trying to build something. And this is for we're talking legacy tonight. We're not talking hookups and dating per se. The dating turns into that, but honestly, um, we're looking for cooperation. And the other thing is just being able to relearn some things. My thing is the three R's with a lot of people, especially women. If it doesn't work, you gotta retrain them. Uh, then if that don't work, you repurpose them, and if not, you retire them. And that's pretty much how you got to do it nowadays. You use the three R's, and that's how it is. You got to keep it moving. The only thing most men have right now is to be able to say, "I'm not dealing with that," and walk away, which is really hard for most men because we're looking for loyalty, like Rashad said, and we honestly don't get that mostly in return. Um, because again, women are survivors. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. So
Yeah.
if it's getting too hot, they gone. So
I don't know if they're necessarily gone, but I
and like I
mean,
said, we're talking
being
about
a helpmate, a lot of times, we're trying to be proactive. And so we tend to do things without consulting, and because we're trying to be proactive and we're trying to be your partner and look out for you.
well, sometimes the looking out sometimes turns into the FBI. And a lot of times it's like, hey, you know what? I understand that you have your degree, you make your money, you've done your things in your 20s or 30s. Let daddy handle it. Let you got to give me a little time to get it together. You know what I'm saying? And
Okay.
and at the end of the day, to me, the other situation is where's the counseling at? You know what I'm saying? When we do have problems and we do have certain situations, who's your counsel? So BOP has a few more
Well, we got
things.
Samantha Riley who said, "Preach, Iceberg."
Shout out to Amanda.
There you go. There you go.
All right, Hilton, what are the most important qualities for you with a woman?
Well, I got to shout out Iceberg and Rashad. They brought up some outstanding qualities that I totally agree with. The loyalty, and the cooperation piece, and everything intertwined with that. I'm totally in agreement with. She has to be godly in all of her ways. She also needs to embody
All the ways.
all of her way, all of
Good
her
luck.
ways, her ways. Um, she needs to embody a solid set of right standing life values that she works on daily. Um,
Mm.
I'm also looking, if in terms of qualities, another thing that I look for is a woman that compliments and represents me by operating as my supportive helpmate. Um,
Okay.
Obviously, we don't have to, I don't think we have to go into physical appearance, in terms of being unique and well kept. I don't think we have to go into that as men here.
But is that not important?
Oh, it's very important. It's extremely important. I just,
Because you all are visual creatures.
yes, and it's very important. It's just it doesn't necessarily have to be number one.
Okay.
But I mentioned it. I still mentioned it nonetheless. It doesn't have to be mentioned, and for that exact reason, we
And
are
that's something you
visual.
can work on. Like the other things is sometimes you either have it or you don't.
Right, right, right.
I
Okay.
can take it to the gym, you know what I'm saying? But
That's real
the
talk.
other things are really hard to work on when somebody thinks they're, hey, I've been doing this for years and this is what my family taught me. So why would I listen to you?
Well,
Mm.
and that's when the red flag shows and the cancellation shall occur. I would say at the same time, traditional femininity embodies her personality, and let me give you one more. She has no baggage.
Ooh,
Stop the show.
what?
Stop the show.
Bag. Okay. So, can you bring baggage?
I
Because I
mean,
believe everybody has some sort of baggage.
well, look, everybody has challenges and things of that nature going on. So, I mean, I don't think we need to go too literal with that, but for the most part, um, no significant
What if
baggage
she's in counseling?
whatsoever. What's that? What's that, bro?
What if she's in counseling?
I'm good. I'm good.
Ah,
Dang.
Well, the thing is, now
she's a
here's the
work in
context to that.
Is she
I'm
working?
sorry.
She's a work in
Yeah, she working.
And
progress.
that's great. I have nothing against therapy, but I think that it still is from the initial meet that still serves as an eyebrow raise. It's not a knock, it's not a diss. I admire individuals who seek therapy or some form of counseling, and if it's a
So you're
situation where we
proceeding with caution.
exactly, because you got to wonder, well, what are we seeking counsel for?
Okay.
I mean, what's the level of trauma that we're dealing with here? So I'm not just going to automatically say, yeah, I'm in it no matter what the situation is. I think again, when we're talking about men, not males,
Mhm.
Facts.
you have to gauge those type of things with caution, because if you don't, then your legacy is in extreme danger, or at least some
Facts.
form of danger. But jumping in head first without any form of know-how in the situation, without any discernment, can lead that legacy and just the prospects
Discernment.
of connecting with somebody on a healthy and solidified fashion in extreme danger.
Okay. Shout out to Samantha again. She said, very well said, Rashad.
Now notice none of us said submission.
It's funny you say that because I was getting to that.
Hmm.
But it aligns with your cooperation.
Exactly.
It's watered down submission.
Ha ha ha. Yo, ladies, we are definitely gonna have to have a discussion about submission.
It's a
That's
beautiful
another
thing.
interesting topic as well. Moving on, because I know we're short on time, and this may go into a part two.
Actually, we're
But
kind of good. Forgot we got 9:30, so we good.
okay. Shout out to Fresh Out. HT and Iceberg have a wonderful podcast along with two other brothers. Fresh Out, they talk all things hip hop and
Right.
hilarious. You guys need to definitely check them out.
That's right.
And they're usually on Wednesdays as well.
Wednesdays at
Uh,
9:30 Eastern.
moving forward,
Let's go.
so 15% of Black men were married to non-Black women.
Mm.
That is an increase, which used to be 11%. So, my question to you, why are more Black men starting to date outside of their race? Is there something wrong with the sisters? Help me understand this. Iceberg, you want to
We're
take
going in
this one?
order, so Rashad, that's he's the icebreaker. You know what I'm saying?
All right, so this is just my opinion. The qualities that we just spoke about, the watered down submission, the loyalty, a lot of times they tend to find that in other races, because from what I've experienced, from what I've seen, a lot of times the other races of female tend to give you that submission, and even if they aren't submitting wholeheartedly, they sure know how to put on a good show. They confront it all the way. They know how to fake it until they make it. And so that to me is why. I mean, I've seen Black men able to be a man and with other races of women.
Okay.
Facts.
Uh, Iron,
Well,
Iceberg.
let's do this. Let's go. Let me name some things real quick. So let's
Uh
say insecure,
Mhm.
claws, sisters, um, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, Harlem. Do any of those shows project any of the qualities that we talked about earlier? So, and this is the shows that they're making for our women, and they're digesting it because they enjoy it. And so you can't watch something and not basically reproduce it into your life. So they're making those shows for a reason, because it's not because they're trying to honestly reprogram our women. They're basically tapping into some things that are inside of most women, the women who watch it, some people watch it for entertainment, no doubt. Some people
yeah,
listen to Megan for
I ain't gonna
entertainment,
lie.
no doubt. But a lot of women are embodying it, or they already had it in them from the get-go. So at the end of the day, there's no Black insecure, or there's no white insecure, there's no Asian Harlem where you see an Asian woman licking cheeks.
We went
So
we went
the
there.
the question is, why do all women like those shows? Then when you answer that, you'll understand why most men who are thinking about, most Black men per se, that are looking for legacy, are sometimes, our first choice is our women 100%. But at the end of the day, if you're thinking legacy, man, you got to go where you celebrate it, not tolerate it. And then the other thing, when you talk to most Black women, they'll say, "Hey, I'm not ready. I'm working on my business. I already got kids. I'm not trying to do that." So what are Black men supposed to do? Are we supposed to wait until you're ready? So that's the conundrum that most Black men are in. And then when you do say, "Hey, I'll lay down the sword for this woman," most of the time, like Black women are the ones who say they love us, but they divorce us more than any other woman.
Well, I mean, divorce is 50% across the board, but
Actually, we're 75.
we're at 75. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, let's. I'd like to ask you, based off of that information, what are your thoughts given the examples that Iceberg just laid out, and
well,
that being propagated out to the Black female demographic out here?
I think one part of the problem is is definitely the media. We watch those shows because that's what's given to us. That's what's thrown in our faces. I myself, it's strictly for entertainment purposes. For me, it helps me to be grateful for what I have, and that I don't have to put up with some of the stuff that they put up with. But a lot of females, that is what they grow up on because that's all they have in their life. So,
Well, most women that I know, they grew up on Bill Cosby, the Cosby Show, uh, Family Matters, and Steve Urkel and Laura, and
and you're saying that those in your age demographic
in my age group.
are still on the Cardi B and
Don't get me wrong, it's fun as a kid. It's fun to jump in the mud when your mom ain't looking, right? So a lot of times it is fun to do bad things with your friends. But a lot of, and then the other thing is most women are like lionesses, man. It's a group thing. So if they're talking about something and I didn't do it or watch it, I'm like, I'm isolated. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of time it's more of like the group's doing it, so I have to do it too. Like when black men get married, for the most part, our friends say, "See ya, you're married. You got to take care of your family." And for most of the women I've been around, it's not that. We have to be married to your friends too. You know what I'm saying? And then friends bring all that stuff into our marriage or into our relationship. Because a lot of times they don't want us to be together anyway because they lost a soldier. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, like this is why a lot of men, especially preferably black, first of all, let's be clear. Black men are the most wanted on the planet. Let's be clear. You know what I'm saying? So now you have real talk. You have women that are toast to that. You have Asian women who are like, "Hey man, I'm about to go to a class to learn how to make fried chicken." You got white women saying, I'm learning how to braid hair, or do X, Y, and Z, or cook whatever he likes, or find more things about his culture. So you got women actively seeking out black men now. You know what I'm saying? Where our women are like, he cool, but I want to start this business. I'm selling wigs. So our thing is like, hey man, we want black women first, 100%. But at the same time, most of the women that we come up to, they have a lot of baggage that Hit was saying, which is nothing wrong with baggage, in my opinion. As long as you're working on it, you addressed it, and you're kind of actively working on it.
Yeah.
I don't care about kids. I'll be stepdaddy, sugar daddy, it's all good. But the thing of it is if you can't if we can't figure out a program and you have trusted me to lead you, there's going to be a problem. So a lot of men are saying, you know what, I gotta, do what I gotta do for my legacy, which is making sure I have kids. I don't always agree with that, but I don't knock somebody who does.
okay, HT, you have anything to follow up that on with that?
Not too much. I mean, there's I think Iceberg said it, men are going to go where they're celebrated, not beneath tolerated. Emphasis on beneath. And oftentimes that's what's happening. But the narrative gets switched whenever that gets brought to the forefront, or whenever we, our fellas decide to go a different route outside of the westernized, mindset and behavior. And that's what they're attempting to do whenever they go to the other side, whatever other side it is that we're talking about. They're looking to escape this ideology, this modern westernized ideology that has severely fractured society as a whole, to where we have this the 1 out of 4 black women, or just women period, getting married, and the divorce rates probably along with that. So, and just many other stats that aren't really bearing positive fruit when it comes to long-standing relationships by way of marriage, and so forth. So I think that's what's happening there in a nutshell.
So real quick, you believe a lot of the black women feel that the black men are beneath them.
Yes, and
Byron, do you feel the
the
iceberg? Do you feel
modern
the same way?
the
The
modern
modern, sorry,
yes,
Um,
modern.
modern yes.
the modern women, yes, because they're like, well, I'm more educated than you. I have a better job than you. I have a
Yeah.
house. I have a
Rashad, do
car.
you feel the same way?
I do.
I think even
Wow.
you alluded to that less in your first question. You know your first question was about money and
Yeah.
what they're doing before they get a man.
But I never
And I'm
thought
not
that it makes the black man feel as if he is that we feel as if they're beneath us.
but you're not trusting a black man to be the producer that he's designed to be for her. Otherwise, she wouldn't prioritize money. And again, there's nothing wrong with her,
Facts.
doing what she has to do in that
Yeah.
regard. But when you prioritize factors such as money, such as um, education, degrees, and so forth over the nuclear family, over the values of what it takes in order to become a wife before even considering those things. See, these are attributes that our women weren't taught in modern day society. Um, Everything is inversed, and that used to be the thing, is to raise women to be wives. And, this is, the foundation of even this platform is spiritual, right? And the line that there's a line that goes something to the effect of, he who finds a wife finds a good thing, not a girlfriend, not a hookup, a wife. So that means you need to already be
A wife before I meet you.
groomed for as a wife in order to come under the producer, that man's wing, for further progression and growth, in order to build a legacy as the team that you guys could possibly be.
Well, I mean, one of the things that some of the women are here that I've been hearing them say is that they that the men aren't stepping up to the plate, that they aren't
That's not true.
showing that they are the leaders that the black women want them to be.
Okay. I don't think that's statistically true. I don't think that's factually true. Um, and this whole step up thing, that's just a buzzword in order to serve as a shaming tactic against the heterosexual black man. So,
Mm-mm.
um, not going for it here. Men have been stepping up in our own way toward our purpose, and that's what we're doing, and that's what we're going to continue to do. So this whole step up notion, well, what's let's ask, what's the context of what they mean by that? Are you asking us to step up in terms of stepping in for the bad choices that you made in your prime and now you want us to fix them? Or are you talking about, I mean, what's the context of what we're talking about here? And I'm just asking the
And,
question.
and I would even say a lot of that goes back to the media, where
Yeah,
most most black women think that a man is supposed to make 150, take you on a trip to Paris and
right,
London, and you're supposed to have a Bentley,
right.
and it goes back to these things that are really like
Unrealistic expectations.
unrealistic. And don't get me wrong, like, a woman is supposed to dream. Like, you never kill a woman's dreams at all. That's how you kill a woman, is to take her dreams away and her hope away. But at the same time, I think because nobody is training men and women, especially in our black community, on what is marriage. You're seeing TV shows and they're teaching you what they want you to think it is, and it's unrealistic. And sometimes that's propaganda, because if I can basically put you in a hamster wheel where you never stop, I win, because you're doing is being a consumer for life. You know what I'm saying?
So
Black women are doing very, I'm sorry, go ahead. Black
we
men are doing very well, as well as black women, but black men are doing very well, so there's no need to step up. It's time for our women to step in order for us to reestablish the nuclear family. This whole step up business, again, that's status quo jargon. That's not going to continue to fly as times pass by.
Well, we got a couple of comments. Samantha says it's about being equally yoked. There
Facts.
should be a spiritual connection as well as a physical connection. I don't have a problem allowing a man to lead as long as he is walking with God.
Shout out
Well
to
said.
Samantha.
Shout out to Samantha.
Shout out to Samantha.
Janetta says, "Hey, Iron, good to see you."
Shout out, Janetta. What's
Iceberg.
going
Okay.
down?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And Janetta also says the black man need is to be catered to, but the modern woman gets busy at times. I'm just saying, I didn't say it was right, but it is reality.
How's that reality working for the modern woman then in the long run?
The other thing too I can say too is busy means being under Satan's yoke.
Talk about
So if I
acronym
can
that.
if I can keep you busy, you can't focus on what you need to do.
Correct.
So busy means a lot of times being under Satan's yoke. And a yoke, I'm not talking about an egg yolk. I'm talking about the yoke that's on a animal that basically clears out the land.
Right.
You can't
Right.
move your head at all.
Right.
So a lot of times I can keep you busy with these TV shows and silly stuff and chasing businesses that you don't that are basically solopreneurs. You won't focus on your legacy at all. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
like before, we're not
Yeah.
really set up to have a whole bunch of singles, because if you're in a house and I'm in a house, we got two different bills, two different, mortgages. I mean, it works out to help out the 1%. So
Well, to Janetta's point, it it and it's been that I felt this way myself, whereas we feel like we have to be everything in order to be your helpmate. So we've got to go to work to
who
help
taught
out
you that though?
financially. We've got to take care of the kids. We've got to
But
take
this
care of
thing,
you.
what man told you had to do that?
Right.
That
Where did that come from?
propaganda has came from things that you watched. It didn't come from a man saying, "Hey, just so you know, daughter, you have to do everything for that man."
Or
So
just
it's
bad
not
teaching in the home.
expected for us to work and take care of the kids and the household.
Really,
Amen.
we got to go back to leadership. I mean, if we're gonna bring up leadership, as we have and as some of the audience has, then there needs to be unwavering trust in the man that is designed to lead the woman as wife and the household in general. So if that means starting off with a smaller house than desired, a car that doesn't look as fancy, or whatever the case may be,
Get your Hyundai.
your life, that's is what it is.
We can't get you the Benz truck yet. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Sometimes you gotta just stay a little bit small in whatever capacity that looks like, or maybe even moderate, before you can go bigger, as long as there's progression within that circumstance to where she is serving as Claire Huxtable, since that got brought up, and you're trusting that leadership. Which, by the way, Claire Huxtable, she was a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with a career. There's nothing wrong with money, but she still fell upon the leadership of the doctor/man of the house. Bill Cosby's character.
Again, that goes back to propaganda, where most women, especially black women, feel like I gotta do everything. And so, you know what? I'm gonna pass on that. I'd rather just make money, go on a trip to Cabo, find me a vacation boo, and just basically stack my loot up. Because I'm not. That's too much pressure to put on me to do everything. I can't do everything for this man. But most men, it goes back into the a lot of the beauty standards. Like, no man told you that I want you to have lashes and long fingernails and
the BBLs and all.
And the BBLs. We didn't ask for the BBLs. Rashad may have wanted that, but
oh no, Rashad don't do BBL.
So
Rashad, you've been a little quiet on this last few. We need to hear from you. The women want to hear from you.
Facts.
It's just a lot, you know. Being a divorcee, it's a lot harder for me to kind of comment on some of the things because you know a lot of things that they're speaking on, I kind of walk through, and it's just like I don't know, like it's been stated before. You know, you see what's on social media, and a lot of times that's what they try to live after. They feel like if I make my own, if I do this, if I do that, a lot of times they bear the cross, they put the cross on them backs for themselves, you know, because nobody's asked them to do that. And again, it's all about, I mean, just being loyal to me. I'm sorry, I always have to go back to that part. Like that's just key for me.
So it sounds like we should be having sit down convos of what's expected, because I guess maybe what my expectations are, being the all in all woman, may not align with your expectations.
But with that being said, as well, that's where compromise comes in because you can't always expect. A lot of times, women expect the man to meet them at their expectation. There's no compromise in expectations. If I go into it, let's just say I go into it with a gang of friends, and like Iceberg said earlier, once you get married as the male, your friends go, "All right, I'll let you." Whereas she comes in with a bunch of friends, and you gotta allow her to do girls' night. You gotta put up with the drama that they come with. You know what I'm saying? So, where's the compromise in that?
Well, oftentimes in the relationships, let's just be 100. It's not about compromise. It's ultimately about control and who can really serve as Geppetto over who. And we know who it all is more often than not in these modern relationships. So that's, you know, we're going to really have to really we're going to have to get back down to brass tacks in terms of the right standing life values in order for there to be some level of a turnaround within the relationship dynamic.
Okay.
And let's be clear, we're not blaming like women. Like we're not like, oh, we, you know, you guys are horrible. It's just the
Right.
fact that, hey, man, like the things that I grew up thinking, hey, this is this is my what I'm supposed to do. Um, the more women that I meet as I've been here and there, they don't want that at all. And so I was like, was I wrong? Was my teaching wrong? Or is this just real women's nature? Because I don't see women going to going to rallies wanting to be wives. I see them going to rallies to have sex and to have abortions. Excuse me, the A word. So I don't really see a lot of women saying, "Hey, we want the same thing that these guys are saying," and we're not really asking for much. We're really just saying, "Hey, we're thinking about legacy. We want to build. We want an empire, and we want to be able to, use the skills that we have for our family." Then the other thing too is at nighttime, if somebody goes on a window, we supposed to get up. You know what I'm saying? We're the ones supposed to get up and lay our lives down for y'all and make sure if something goes wrong, if I die today, financially, you good.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point at the end of the day. And like I said, love for men is different than what love means for women. Love for us is to make sure
Facts.
you're good. If you're cold, I get you a blanket. If you're sick, I get you medicine. Most men don't fall in love until we know you for about 10 years. It's about 10. About
Wow.
10. So because the whole thing is we have the honey-do list and we got to do it. That's what we've been programmed to do, man. Like we're supposed to go out and kill a bear for our women and children. You know what I'm saying? We just want y'all to pick some berries while we gone. You know what I'm saying?
Not
And
the
make sure the fire's
berries.
ready. You know what I'm saying? That's
And
it.
that,
Like
yeah.
if you look at pictures of women back in the Greek days, they wasn't working and had a bow and arrow and all that. They was chilling with a little robe on, relaxing. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to be a soldier as a woman or wanting to work or doing those things. But I even see Oprah with Stedman. You know, when she's around Stedman, she's just chilling. She's not the fierce go getter. You know what I'm saying? She's an effeminate for the most part. The pictures I've seen. So at the end of the day, I think most men are just asking for femininity. But at the end of the day, there's some things. Femininity is just like love. Is it goes by person to person.
Well, I love this conversation, but we are getting close to time to wrap this up. So I've got one more question for you all, and that is marriage still a goal for the modern man?
Okay.
Iron, let's start it
No,
out.
no, I want to hear like Rashad's doing the ice breaking.
So it's kind of hard to say because with all that's going on with the modern woman, a lot of times men don't want to make that commitment because it's fear, you know, and it is fear because you give too much. You plan on giving your all to this one person, and then they go all modern on you, and then you're like, dang, it was like 12 other people that I could have been kicking it with right now. you know,
Bars.
but I mean, I don't see anything wrong with marriage. It's just going to take a minute. Right now. My personal opinion is the modern woman is going to have to be by herself for a minute, bring her modern mindset back to old fashioned values, and then she'll be able to find that man that's willing to marry her.
It's like when Rap went to West Coast and got to come back to the East Coast.
Right. And I'm from the West Coast, but right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, let's say we went down to Atlanta, and then yeah.
I mean, it has to go through some things. Like the modern woman really truly has to go through some things to truly understand that, again, men aren't asking for much. To ask for loyalty, that has no price value. To ask for watered down submission, that has no price value. But the things that the modern day woman is asking for, Bentleys, big house, Gucci, Jimmy Choo, like all of that has a price value.
They
But
look
you're not willing to
nice.
I understand, but you're not willing to put yourself on the back burner, you know what I'm saying, for the man, because you're like, I'm getting my career, I'm doing my thing, I'm starting my business, I'm selling my wigs, as y'all like to say. You know what I'm saying? And then you turn around and look at this man that's, what, 40, 50K. And it's like, well, listen, I could be where you at, but you want me to put you first. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the modern woman even wants to be before God. They get mad at men going to church nowadays.
Facts. That's why most men are leaving the church. The other side of what Rashad's saying too is the legal aspect of it. Is if I go into a courtroom with a woman, I'm chop suey. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if I come in there like with with all my paperwork and hey, I've done this and I've done that. You go into a family court as a black man,
Automatic.
Dude, you're
So
gonna get
is it a
stuck.
goal? Is it a goal for
It's
you?
100% still a goal.
Okay.
But there's going to be some adaptation to what marriage is as far as worldly concerned. If I got married right now, it would be more of a legal document notarized by HT, where she writes down what she needs and I write down what we agree on it and we sign it. Boom. It wouldn't be through the state at all. Wouldn't be through the state at all,
Wow.
because at the end of the day, all your power, I wouldn't say all your leadership skills are you signing them away when you sign a marriage license, because now she can say, well, guess what I'm gonna do if you don't do what I say. I'm gonna dangle this divorce over your head if you don't get me that bag. If you don't do what I say, I'm gonna get mad. Just go in a room and you can't talk to no other woman, you can't sleep with no other woman, it's only me. So I'm gonna run it by dangling that divorce over your head or taking your kids away.
I mean, even after divorce, though, a lot of times they still running things. I mean, I've been in court to where child custody hearing, the man has moved on with his life, and the woman's, oh, I don't want my daughter or my son around that new wife because she doesn't treat them like I treat them. And
Bars.
again, the judge will slam the gavel down and say, all right, look, she can't be around your child for more than 15 minutes alone. And it's like, I mean, why can't she move on? So that's another thing that causes heartache and rethinking marriage.
And it can set you back generations, honestly, financially and just mentally, and emotionally. Because, hey man, I can't move on because Shorty doo wop, man, she's gonna try to store anything I can. So, at the end of the day, like some legally, it has to evolve. My thing is what it should be now. If a woman wants a divorce, then she got to pay for my alimony, or she got to give up something more. She got to give up 100% or 80% if she want to leave.
Wow.
Because at the end of the day, everybody, all women say it's about love at the beginning, but it's about that shmoney at the end.
At the end, yep.
Well, Hilton, is marriage a goal for you?
Marriage is a goal for me. Obviously, as long as it's done the right way. Is marriage the goal for modern men? I believe so.
Okay, there's still hope.
There is still hope. Yeah. Oh yeah. Men really haven't, in terms of their personality, or rather their internal makeup, so to speak, they haven't really changed over the course of, blank amount of years. So
Nope.
as a whole, so absolutely, generally speaking, men are still interested in marriage. At the same time, I do see that there is more eyebrows being raised, and there's some more hesitancy about it. And it's not so much about the original spiritual implications, or rather the institution itself. It's just more of the worldly legal parameters that serve as, again, as stated earlier, so to speak, that which can be held over the head if you don't do what I say. I mean, I've even heard it at the church that I attend on a couple occasions. I'll share this. One separate instance was, it was said that he better be bringing home that coin. And yes, men are supposed to be producers. Yes, we are supposed to be doing our thing, but let's look at the tone and the underlying aspect of a statement like that. What if he loses his job? What then? When you make a statement like that, what is your real meaning when you say that? The other thing that I've heard on a relationship panel at the church, there was a female that was married to a young brother, and she said, he hasn't disappointed me yet. So when we hear those type of things, again, rhetorically asking, what do you mean by that? Are you see? And that's
Them ears pop up.
Yep. And the one word that I think about is conditional. See, it's easy to say you love unconditionally until you make statements like that. So much for richer or poorer, right? So let's just really get down to brass tacks. I mean, what is your real motive with connecting with somebody? And that goes for men and women. Do you have your affairs in order? Do you really? Are you really the man that you're supposed to be? Or are you just a male out here just kind of running loosey goosey that's not ready for her, and vice versa? Are you not a wife internally asking for marriage? I mean, we have to ask ourselves those type of questions before we continue to just further damage the relationship / power dynamic that's going on within Black society.
Are you out here saying the Lord's Prayer or Sierra's prayer?
Oh, here we go with that.
And let's be clear, Sierra's prayer is dope, but what does she say about what she gonna do? All she's doing is asking for somebody to fix something that she messed up.
And that's possibly a ticking time bomb in and of itself. Again, possibly. At the same time, even if it's not, you can't compare yourself to an outlier. The majority cannot compare themselves to the twos and fews that are who you look up to in that regard. So it's best to always stick with what has been known to work, not just this fairly new ideology of what you want to work, but yet hasn't bore fruit in the fashion that you desire, and you know it's just not working.
It goes back into this is where most black men are at. Is we sitting at the negotiating table, ready to negotiate. Whatever. Hey, we know you modern. We know you change. We know you want a wig business. you want your eyelashes done. You want this done. You want your booty done. We almost like cool, but come down and sit at the table so we negotiate. Because I got some things I want you to do too. Exactly. Most of them are traditional of what your mama, your grandmama did. And most women have got up and walked away.
I think though, when it comes to leadership, yeah, add your input. That happens in boardroom meetings all the time. That happens at the White House. But at the end of the day, the final say goes to the leader of those institutions. So there's not really much room for negotiation in terms of an all-encompassing situation. Now, again, of course, if we're talking about certain challenges or certain specific situations, once we're in it, sure. But if we're talking about, hey, this is what I'll do if this is what you'll do in the relationship, that to me signifies a partnership, and that's not what a relationship is really about. I'm not looking for a partner.
And let me say one more thing too. With education comes debt. So not only are when HT says baggage, he's talking about debt. And when you marry somebody, that debt is now yours. Yep. So that degree, that $100,000 degree that she got to now have a $45,000 job, that's on your ticket now, sir. Then the other thing that most definitely black women don't kind of understand is the spring turkey doesn't understand why the farmer's feeding them.
Yeah.
Because in the fall, they get the head cut off. So a lot of times now you become the worker for corporate America. And just like they said, what was the bank that they said they're going to give $10 billion to black women?
Oh,
Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
Where that money at?
Well, it's a two-way street because we still paying for lobster that my husband had at Grambling. So,
but like I said, marriage is a choice.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? Then the other thing is, if I said, hey man, if I looked at every married couple, I would say, hey, are you actively working on your debt? Or are you buying frivolous things? Most of the time, it's going to be frivolous things. So this is why you sit down with your spouse, male or female, and say, hey, let's knock out this debt. Hey, let's knock out this debt. So we're going to go buy income property. Let's invest in some stuff. Let's do what we do so we can get off the plantation per se. So we can start owning some things as well. We may want to open up a business together where you're using your skills and he's using his. And that's what most black men are really wanting from our women, because we understand that y'all all we got. You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody dates out of our race, out of our culture, it's because either that's what they were programmed to do before, or they just fed up. But at the end of the day, you got soldiers right now that are ready to be married, ready to go. But when I say, hey, is there a woman ready to marry that man? Crickets.
Well, before we go, we got one last comment, and that is Samantha. The sanctity of marriage is not the same as it used to be. Marriage is a commitment before God to honor one another while following biblical principles. It has become just a piece of paper.
Correct.
Facts.
Correct.
All day.
So correct.
Well said.
We need to get Samantha's cash app and throw a $5.
That's right. Throw her a couple of
Yeah,
these.
go throw a little, nah, yeah, throw a little honey. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Make it rain on
But
Samantha.
shout out to
Pause.
shout out to all the everybody that's commenting. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
shout out Janetta. Like this is a conversation that black men want to have, and like I said, we're not blaming women at all. We love y'all, man.
we
That's why we
do.
fighting for y'all, man. That's why we get frustrated because we want y'all to come back to
Toast
the
to
table,
y'all.
man. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Toast to y'all. So, and this is a conversation. Honestly, it's not just for black men. It's for black women. You know what I'm saying? We really want to have more conversations like this. Shout out to Les. You know what I'm saying, for having this panel and having it. And women like you are a rare commodity, and so our wish and what most black men are working towards is to multiply women like yourself.
Mhm.
Appreciate that. Well, I really thank you guys for coming, being honest. I know it's difficult sometimes to be honest, especially with social media. And hopefully, we all have taken something from this conversation and we can actually put it to use in our everyday lives. I wish you all the best. I pray that you guys find your queen. And ladies, all of them are available. Hit me in
I'm
my
in a committed relationship with
messages.
the Lord.
Hey,
Um, any last minute comments before we wrap it up? Because we're just a little over an hour now.
You got it, Rashad. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
think.
no, Rashad don't got no last minute comments. I think we said everything we needed to say.
yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of more to say, but
Yes, yes, yes,
Well,
yes.
I
I
definitely want to
appreciate it.
thank the audience as well. Definitely want to thank Lessa. If you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to Texas Brown Sugar's
Facts.
Yes,
YouTube page here. She's
sir.
putting in a tremendous amount of work behind the scenes and then, in front of the camera for you all in order to provide you all with the best value that you deserve. Shout out to Texas, by the way.
You can't get
Shout out to
nothing
Houston.
like this anywhere else.
Right. And, hit that cash up
And hit
right
the
there. Hit
cash
that
app.
cash app. Yeah, hit that cash app.
Hey,
Hit that
so,
cash.
and if you can't
No, but
provide any money, support by hitting the like and
Yeah, hit the
there
subscribe
you
button.
go.
subscribe joint.
There you
Yeah.
go.
You
But
don't have to have money to support me.
right. And I want to echo the sentiments of Iceberg. We love our black women. We just love our people in general, and we want the best for what's going to help us get out of whatever funk or um, damaged circumstance or situation that our culture has been facing. Not just to have the conversation, but in order to allow that conversation to turn into drive toward the progression that we deserve in order for the best results for all of us that
Facts.
deserve it, of course. So again, shout out to you all. Thank you all for your time. Thank you, Lessa. Much
Thanks, thanks.
appreciated. Let's do this again.
Definitely, definitely. I'm gonna definitely have you guys on here again. I already know I'm gonna have some more requests. So until the next time, we will see you all later. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful week, and we will catch y'all next week. Cheers.
Cheers.